Hello, everyone. My name is Paula Neps, and I'm the lead for the Center for Living Organ Donation. I'd like to welcome you to this very special TAP panel event, which is part of Living Donation Week. And we have Susan McKenzie and a number of TAP mentors who will be joining us today. So I will turn it over to Susan to talk a little bit about the Transplant Ambassador Program and introduce her TAP panel. Susan.
Okay, thank you so much, Paul. It's really wonderful to be part of this week with you guys, and we're excited to share a little bit about the TAP program. I will start by introducing the members of the panel who will be speaking in just a few minutes. We have Peter Wechselmann from Grand River Hospital, Linden Huizinga from London Health Science Center, Tom Weinstein from St. Joseph's St. Joseph's Hamilton, Alexandra Freund, who is with our core TAP team as a volunteer. Greg Wilkinson is from the LHSC team, London Health Sciences team, and Charles Cook is also with the Grand River Hospital team. So you'll hear from them in just a few minutes. I'm just going to give you a short overview of the TAP program and who we are and how we got started. TAP is ultimately a peer support program. We kind of go by the mantra that one day you will tell your story of how you've overcome what you're going through now, and it will become part of someone else's survival guide. And that has really been so true for us, and how we have approached TAP and how we have built it. It really is about sharing our stories with others, and the power that has, the hope and inspiration that provides. It's also very much about experiential learning and learning in a different way from someone else who has gone through it before you. And the fact that TAP is completely driven by patients and donors who want to pay it forward, who want to help others because of their experience. So who are transplant ambassadors? All of us are either kidney patients living with a successful transplant, or living donors who have made a gift of donating their kidney. We are we share our stories, as I mentioned, but we do it in two ways. One is in the clinic, in person, and we were in the clinic up until March 13th. When COVID hit, and we will be back as soon as it's safe to do so. There's a picture of our leads at London Health Sciences Center, Carol and Patty, on shift, chatting with patients and donors as they were arriving for their clinic appointments. And our view is that we would love to chat with patients and their family members and other potential donors as early as possible. And the reason for that is, to be worked up for a preemptive transplant, potentially before dialysis, you need to be chatting and thinking about this, 2 years or more before you need dialysis. So the earlier the better is great, and the more informed people are. Even if they never need a transplant, it's really important for them to learn about what the options are, and that if you do need a transplant, you'll be able to get through it. And there are lots of living examples of that. So TAP started in about 2016. We started with a bit of a research initiative, a small research initiative of our own. We got together with Dr. Amit Garg out of London, and about 30 patients and donors, and we all did a workshop around how what we had seen as barriers and challenges that we faced along the way to living donor transplant, and we actually published a paper out of that, and some of our ideas came out of that, and the biggest one was actually that we create a peer support program that was available in the clinics for people as they're coming in and out, that they have the chance to talk with people, they have the chance to see people who have gone through this themselves. And the reason that was so important at the time was that in 2016, the research showed that living donation rates had stayed stagnant for over 10 years. So there hadn't been much movement on that, and that really felt there was a need to do something about it, and what could patients and donors do to be part of that solution. So TAP is one of, I think, several kind of peer support programs across the country and in Ontario, and there are a number of them, and they're all wonderful, and all support for patients is important, and there's not enough of it. But we did develop TAP in a way that we felt was very unique, and in a way that was different than any other program out there, that it would complement everything else that was out there. And some of the things that are really unique about TAP is that all of us have vulnerable sector police checks, and we are thoroughly vetted through our TAP team and our onboarding processes, but also we are all onboarded at one or more hospitals in Ontario. So we are part of the volunteer team, volunteer services team. We are onboarded by them and have hospital badges and all of that. We do also provide ongoing training and team meetings for our ambassadors. So they do receive a comprehensive training when they start, but we do provide training throughout the year on various topics. And we also bring people together to just share stories, share their experiences, help each other with challenges they may be experiencing at the hospitals, things like that, and really just build a camaraderie amongst the TAP team, the broader TAP team across the province. We are very visible and available in the clinics, as you saw with our bright green vests. We are not only visible, but we it says right on our vest that we are either a transplant recipient or a living kidney donor, and to ask us about our experience. And that's been really important. Since COVID, since we haven't been able to be in the clinics, we have kind of pivoted to a virtual program. So we purchased Zoom Medical, which is an encrypted, secure version of Zoom, and we have been meeting with patients and family members through Zoom, but most of our conversations are over the phone, and that seems to be working out very well as well. So we'll continue to do both, run both programs even once we get back in the clinic. The other thing that's unique about TAP is we started out as a research initiative. We really measure ourselves through in an analytical way. Every conversation that we have, we do a shift report for. So we document the conversation with no identifying information, but simply, did we have a conversation with a donor, a potential donor, a recipient, a caregiver, and what were some of the barriers that they identified for us? And then we report that back to the hospital in terms of how many conversations we've had and some of the challenges that people identified, so that we can really work as part of the hospital team to problem solve around what some of those challenges are. We work to build ongoing relationships with with the people that we speak with, and there's many examples of TAP volunteers who have helped patients and potential donors through their journey, and then at the end they are committed to being TAP volunteers themselves. So it's wonderful to see the program coming full circle. The really unique thing about TAP is that we all have Transplant Ambassador emails, again, which are on an encrypted server, so you can reach out to any of us through our Transplant Ambassador email. And that email is on our website. It's in our posters. It's in our postcards that we hand out. So you can actually reach out to us directly. So it's not just about going online and watching a video of someone's story, but you can watch our video and then you can actually reach out to us and find out more. And I think the biggest thing is really that we are fully run by volunteers. We are volunteer driven, and it truly is the passion of the patients and donors who have been there before that drive this program, and that makes it exceptionally special. If I look at really quickly a bit of a snapshot of our numbers, we currently have 86 ambassadors across the province in 13 of the 27 regional renal centers. That is divided exactly evenly by recipients and living donors. We also have 2 ambassadors that act as leads for their centers. So they take on a more extensive role in terms of working with the quality improvement teams at each of the hospitals and scheduling and taking referrals that they can then pass along to their team, etc. One of the great things about the virtual, about launching the virtual program is that we've had the benefit of being able to connect ambassadors from one center with ambassadors at another center who may have a similar story. So when you're in clinic, you're obviously just seeing those people that belong to that clinic or that are seen in that clinic. But with virtual TAP, we can connect you with someone who may be at the same stage or have had a similar experience with the preemptive transplant or with paired donor exchange or with multiple other aspects of their kidney journey. But we can also connect you with people of the same culture, may speak the same language, all of those kinds of things. So that's been a really great addition to our program. And we have had over 4,000 meaningful conversations since we started in clinic in early 2017. And those conversations are all conversations that involve discussion about transplant and what that means. As we launch into the next 14 regional renal centers in Ontario as part of the access to kidney transplant strategy, we are some of our volunteers are also providing leadership as liaisons for those centers to help them develop their TAP team, get them all set up, etc. So that's really the overview of TAP. We have a new inventory of materials. This would be our front and back of our new postcard that's handed out by the centers. There is a spot there where ambassadors on the back, a blank spot where ambassadors can put in their name and their email and phone number so people can reach out. And this is our poster. We have, this happens to be the St. Joe's Hamilton poster, but we have posters for each center that promotes their volunteers and the people that are onboarded with that center. And those posters are put up around the centers. And this is just a quick preview of our new website that will go online in a few weeks, hopefully by the end of October or earlier. And one of the great new features of that website will be a provincial ambassador directory. So you can go online there and kind of search for someone who may be similar to you, that you may feel really good about connecting with. And with that, I am going to turn it over to the stars of our show today, which are our transplant ambassadors, and they're going to share their stories and a little bit about what they do from a TAP perspective. So I'm going to hand it over now to Peter Wechselmann, who is one of our leads at Grand River Hospital. Over to you, Peter.